Caribou are valued by Northerners as a very important part of their culture and part of the land. We know from both traditional knowledge and science that barren-ground caribou populations have gone through big changes over time. Over the last 50 years, the government of the Northwest Territories and co-management partners have been tracking those changes together. Knowing how caribou are doing today helps us manage the herds for tomorrow. In the Northwest Territories, we do population surveys every few years to gather information about the number of caribou out on the land. We photograph and count the caribou to estimate the overall size of each herd. But there are other ways to know how the herds are doing. Composition surveys can provide an early warning of decline or signals that things are getting better. Biologists monitor key indicators like the birth rate, calf survival, and the number of bulls in each herd compared to the number of cows. This information is gathered at key times in the caribou's annual cycle, in June, October, and March. Not all 3 surveys take place every year for each herd. Caribou are monitored more closely when a herd is declining or at low levels, and less closely when their numbers are healthy. The first composition survey takes place in June, when female caribou have returned north to the herd's calving ground to give birth. The number of caribou born each year is an important factor in the future of a herd. More calves mean more caribou, and often a growing herd. Composition surveys track the survival of new calves through the first year of life. Calves are counted in June when they are born, and then again in the fall at about 4 or 5 months of age, and finally in March when they are 9 months old. This first year is critical, as caribou calves are more vulnerable to predators and starvation. The June survey looks at 2 things: birth rate, or how many cows in the herd are having calves that year, and how many calves survive those first few days. Barren-ground caribou cover long distances over a vast landscape, and the survey crew needs to cover a large area to make sure they get a full picture of the herd's composition. The crew classifies caribou from a helicopter using binoculars to get a better look. They work quickly so they don't disturb the animals too much. If the caribou start running or the ground is icy or rocky, the helicopter backs off. If the group of caribou is too large to count, the crew sometimes lands nearby to watch from the ground with a spotting scope. The crew looks for caribou that are pregnant or have recently given birth. They can tell a female by the dark patch under her tail. A female that's about to give birth or has just given birth will also have a white udder or milk bag that can be seen from the back. Most of the females will have a newborn calf nearby. Pregnant cows also keep their antlers from the previous year until just after birth, so white, hard antlers on a female mean she was likely pregnant. An observer makes the call, and a recorder enters the information. Each female caribou is classified by whether or not she was pregnant or gave birth that year. Newborn calves, calves that were born the previous year, and adult male caribou are also recorded, although bulls are rarely seen on the calving ground. By comparing the number of caribou that gave birth with the overall number of females in the herd, we can estimate the birth rate for the herd. In October, a second composition survey is flown during the breeding season, when bulls and cows of all ages gather to mate. We tend to see fewer bulls compared to cows when habitat conditions are poor or a herd is in decline. More bulls on the breeding grounds can be a sign that the herd is increasing. In late October, calves are about 4.5 months old. During this survey, we count the number of calves for every cow to figure out how many calves died over the summer. Usually, only about half of them survive, sometimes much less. The last composition survey of the annual cycle takes place in late winter, usually in March. We take a final look at the number of cows that still have calves to see how many calves made it through the winter. It's normal to see a bad year from time to time, and weather can play a big role. But if birth rates and calf survival stay low for several years in a row, it could be a cause for concern. For the Bathurst herd, which lost 3/4 of its population in just 3 years, one March survey found less than 1 out of every 10 cows still had a calf the next spring. Composition surveys provide important information about caribou, including birth rates, calf survival, and the number of bulls and cows in the herd. These surveys are flown in the NWT and many other jurisdictions that manage barren-ground caribou. Together with regular population surveys, we can get a pretty good sense of what's happening with the herds, but there are other signs as well. Hunters and people out on the land provide important on-the-ground observations. If many caribou are skinny and have small antlers, or they appear to be sick or limping, this can be an early warning sign. Many bulls with large antlers early in the fall are a good sign. Many calves with large bodies and antlers is another good sign. Twins in caribou are rare, but when conditions are good, they can be more common, and this is a good sign for the herd. Together, all this information is used by wildlife management agencies and our co-management partners to monitor how herds are doing and what actions we may have to take to support healthy herds now and in the future. To learn more about caribou monitoring and management, visit our website, www.ecc.gov.nt.ca.